And a good morning to you. Welcome inside the bottom line. Lanny 4-4 Remember here on a rainy 53-degree morning. But guess what? Welcome to North Carolina. This is it.
Yep.
Right here.
Yep.
Your sister-in-law, Ange, posted something this morning that I had already discussed.
Love my sister-in-laws.
Okay.
All of them.
That I
Love
had
them.
already discussed.
They are fantastic.
What happened last night during the night?
All right.
Do you know?
I have no idea.
We had thunder.
Whoa.
If it thunders in the wintertime,
Say it.
3
Say
days.
it.
Supposed
Say
to be
it.
3 days snow.
7 to 10.
Is it 7 to 10?
7 to
Okay,
10.
I'll take that too.
And the halo on the moon.
Yes, if it's got the circle around
So
the moon.
yeah.
Oh,
I think, yeah.
I'm an old country redneck. Come on, give me a break.
Burke County.
Yeah, there you go. But no. Yeah, I heard. I don't think I heard it, but once. I believe it was just once, but once is enough. And Ange posted it, and there were some other folks posted that were old schoolers. You know.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
No.
So we did have thunder last night. That's what she was saying.
And I was still awake,
That's
which was kind of impressive. I'm usually not awake at that time of day. Good morning, Milton. Good morning, Stephen. Glad to have you guys with us. Thanks for joining in. Watched some bowl games yesterday. Not much yesterday. Today will be better.
I thought
Today will be
last
better.
night was great. Those kids play. Texas State and Rice.
And you know, Texas
God,
State
dude, that was awesome.
Texas State is in the Sun Belt.
Yes.
With Appalachia.
It was awesome. They played, those kids, those young men played so hard. And it was wonderful watching it because we didn't have to worry about anybody saying, well, give me all this to come there so I don't end up playing and fulfilling what I told you I was going to do. Because, and is it Trev Alberts? What's his name? That is one of the ESPN.
Marv.
No, it's Matic.
Trevor Matic? The big guy on the scene.
Yeah. He was a lineman.
Yeah.
I think did he play at
Trevor
Nebraska?
Matic. That sounds right.
Yeah, a great. He's very good at what he does. But he said something that just kind of, and it didn't rub me wrong. It just kind of made me look at things a little different. I still didn't like it. He said, it's not fair to ask these players that have, potential careers beyond college to go play in these exhibition bowl games. Now that was put very articulately to make you think, but I do understand that part. But it's one of those, and it's probably a generational thing with us, where when you start something, you do your very best to finish it. But that doesn't always correlate to maybe what's best long term when you have that, that opportunity. But the thing about it is, it's really saying, well, I really don't have anything to play for, and it's not a priority. Because we have all these great players that play in the Final Four, right? And I'm talking about college football. Or last year, I think every one of Bama's players played, and then there was another team that every one of their players played that was pretty good. I'm just thinking out loud, but the point is it's kind of like, are you really doing what's best for you long term, or just so you can get drafted? There's a struggle with that.
We created part of this by getting to the point, and I'll give you some examples a little bit later on, but let me go back to here. Let me go back where I was at. Part of the problem is because of some of the bowl games have gotten to the point that they're struggling just to get teams in, okay? And when you do that, you've not really spotlighted it. I mean, you think about it. Before when it was just, an AP vote for national champion, the Cotton Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, those were all important. And then, like so many other things, when there became 47 bowls, and you had to start hunting as deep as you could to get somebody that could qualify based on criteria to play in it. Good example, they had to let JMU in because they couldn't find enough teams with a 6-win record, okay? If you're 6-6, do you really deserve to go to a bowl game? Well, it goes back to high school football playoffs. I had to go with 2 wins.
No, I understand that. I get it.
Because they had to have enough teams.
Well, and it's all about, I guess, about the criteria that's set up for you to be able to qualify, for your team to be able to qualify. So, Yeah, I get that. I'm glad that these young people have the opportunity to go and experience that, and that it's still, doable. Because one thing in this country, that we can always continue to do our very best to provide is opportunity.
Right.
Okay. The problem is a lot of times it's squandered and narrowed to the very top of things. And, it's kind of like if you're a high school coach and you only take a player who's a Division I recruit to schools, but you have 6 or 7 Division II players and you never take them anywhere, is that, what are you doing?
I agree.
You see what I'm saying? Like, what are you there for? There are many high school coaches that do a lot for the younger level or lower level playing kids, all right, lower opportunities, but they still get them opportunities, right? It's not just, I'm just going to do this because this kid's this. That it's about helping people, and I feel like we're still doing a pretty good job in that regard of college football and helping provide opportunities. Yeah, deserve that kind of thing. I get that, but it's not really that at the end of the year. It's whether you qualify or not. It's not whether you deserve it. And I think that's the difference.
That's correct.
I mean, just another way to look at it. I get the other argument, and I'm okay with that, but I kind of look at it from that way, from a guy that, and like you grew up in an era where we saw some of our friends that worked just as hard as we did, played just as hard as we did, maybe weren't quite as gifted, not get those opportunities. So I'm kind of in that camp.
Well, and this like I do, whenever you get to the point that whatever that goal is that you're trying to attain has been watered down so much that almost anybody can get there, it's hard to motivate.
It is.
I mean, it is to me.
No, I completely agree.
It is to me.
But you and I are, and you and I've talked
it's
about
different
this before.
generation.
No, and it is. But you and I have talked about, well, if we can't be like the very best at what we do, we're not going to take that step back and just settle. You had opportunities even with a bad back to still play and probably play pretty well based on where you had an opportunity, that was below the ACC, right?
Right.
And same thing, in my case with, ACLs and knee issues and immaturity and all these other things, bundled in, I had chances to play at much lower level, but I thought, if I can't compete at the very best level that I can get to, then I don't want to do this.
Well, I looked at it this way. If I wasn't able to compete at where I was evaluated to be, I guess let me put it that way.
That's a good point.
If I wasn't able to play at the level that I was evaluated to be, I don't want to step down, not because I'm better, but because I'm taking maybe an opportunity of somebody that didn't have that ability.
Exactly.
So why do I want to come back just because I can't get it out of my system? That's kind of the way that I looked at it. Milton said 4.4 inches of rain in Lincoln. It's bad, Milton. It's bad.
Can we declare the drought officially?
I think so. The only thing I'm glad of, it rained. It rained weekend before last.
Yeah,
I got my yard plugged, fertilized, and seeded before that rain. So it should be well down in the ground now. Everything should be. Richie, good morning. Good morning, Lincoln. Richie said he thinks that UGA has no opt-outs for the Orange Bowl. I'm not sure. I haven't really looked at that. He said Minnesota was playing yesterday with a 5-7 record. I'll look at that in a second. Link said JMU doesn't want to see Air Force again anytime soon. And you're correct. And there was somebody that,
Whoa.
Now, in my opinion, they deserved to go to a bowl game because of what they had accomplished.
Hey.
But,
level,
it was going to be bad. Junior Adams, good morning.
Yeah.
Steven said he saw an article last week where it was reported that Minnesota was paying their quarterback $30,000 to not transfer until after the bowl game because they'd already lost quarterbacks to the portal.
We brought that kid back, in their game, and I tell you what, that game wasn't that bad. Both teams played really hard. It was back and forth. There were younger kids that were playing because some had opted out or some had already entered the portal.
And that's a good thing.
And it is because it provides opportunities that would otherwise not been there for people that don't want to finish or think that, the grass is greener, which it may be. That's fine, whatever. But, the Texas State Rice, I'm going to tell you what, man.
The only thing that bothered me,
football.
The only thing that bothered me about that game, I didn't feel like coaches had control of their players. There was a lot of ugly, dirty plays in that game. Lots of flags.
Yeah, pushing each other around.
I didn't like that part. That kind of stuff still bothers me on any level.
Well, there was one targeting call that was not called last night.
It wasn't targeting. The one down close to the goal line when the back was going down and the number 33 was the player, he hit him in the head, but he had aimed lower and the back came down. And there has to be some intent there.
The problem was he led with his helmet.
But they didn't – well –
They didn't call it. They didn't review it.
This one was reviewed.
No, the one I'm talking about was McCaffrey's touchdown down the sideline.
Yep.
That kid lowered his head, all right, and hit him in the side of the head.
Yeah.
And nothing was said about it. And I'm thinking, okay, now wait a minute. And I'm not saying he did it on purpose, but his head was lowered. Okay, now you lower your head on purpose because I grew up, as you did in the generation, said lower your head to hit somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, that – and I'm going to tell you something. The NFL roughing the passers this past weekend, especially against Carolinas, let me tell you something. That's got to be addressed. And people are upset at the officials. Wrong. In my opinion, wrong. Do not be upset at them. They're trying to enforce unenforceable rules. I don't blame them for any of this. I blame the people that are making the rules and trying to skew everything.
Sometimes
awful.
Sometimes there's unattainable
you can't do that.
requirements to make certain calls because you can't and allow things to happen and play out. Morning, sis. Yep, we all had a wonderful holiday. Glad you came by yesterday. Rich said there were no headsets being worn on the sidelines of Texas State and Rice, and I think it was because Rice's headsets did not work, and if one team's headsets don't work, neither team can wear them. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Richie said, I think if JMU had their head coach and their coordinators, it would have been a little different game. Probably not. I think they were outclassed by athlete.
They were, but to Richie's point, it may have been a little – it would have been better, but I don't know if the outcome in the end would have been any different.
Minnesota was 5-7. They beat Bowling Green 30-24, and Bob said that was their seventh straight. I kind of remember seeing that.
Right.
Seventh straight bowl game in a row. Richie said Kansas had as many penalty yards in the first half as UNLV had yards on offense in the first half. It was kind of ugly.
Watch the Jayhawks, baby. Hey, let me tell you something. They're on the up and up.
Jeff Taylor, good morning. Jeff Taylor spent a little time up at the Grove Park. He and the wife.
Yeah, I think I saw
little time
that.
off.
Yeah,
little time off. I hope you had a good time.
Wonderful.
Let's see. Richie said, when the linemen are putting their arms out while tackling a quarterback to the ground to try to avoid a roughing the passer call, you know something has to change. It's almost you've almost put it to where the person tackling a quarterback runs a higher risk of being injured by trying to avoid contact with the quarterback than the quarterbacks do. That something's got to be changed about that. Lincoln said Air Force had no penalties for the entire game. There's a reason for that.
They're disciplined.
They're disciplined. That's correct. That is correct.
Now, whether or not they actually committed infractions that weren't called, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But, this is not – gosh, I say that. I mean, it is uncommon, but for veer option and other
old school football,
it's not that uncommon because they don't have to hold because everything's at angles, and not head on, right? So you really don't have to hold. But that's a great point. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
Stephen
cool.
said that, and I saw this, Stephen. I don't know which ones, but they were experimenting with quarterbacks wearing the earpiece.
They need to go on and do that and get rid of all
the Harbaugh thing is going to make it happen.
Holding up Abe Lincoln and, the $5 bill and all that. I mean,
Tyler saying good morning.
Okay.
I mean, I agree. Speaking of break, let me take a quick one since we got started late. Be back in a minute.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com.
Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. Welcome back. We're discussing time zones here because we're looking at tonight's lineup, and there's some late games. I can't, that UNLV game, that was a great game, almost 100 points scored in it. But the problem was that's way past my bedtime. Let me give you those scores from last night in case you missed it. Bowling Green, Minnesota. Minnesota won 30-24. Texas State over Rice, 45-21. Now, Rice made it a game towards the end of the second quarter and tied everything up. But Texas State didn't pull ahead.
Oh, yeah. It was a great game.
Then the nightcap was Kansas over UNLV, 49-36. That's a 9-4 Kansas over a 9-5 UNLV. Today It will be the first game of the day. Will be SMU at 11-2 taking on a 6-6 Boston College team at Fenway Park in the Wasabi Fenway Bowl in beautiful weather, 44 degrees, a consistent downpour like we've had here for the past couple of days. That's a real treat. 2:15, it's Rutgers at 6-6 taking on Miami at 7-5. That's in the Bronx Yankee Stadium, 47 and partly cloudy. 2:15. Then at 5:45, it's NC State, Kansas. I'm sorry, I'm a day ahead. No, that's right.
Today's Wednesday, so you good?
Hang on. I was giving Thursday's games. I thought that was wrong. Let me back up. They screw with my head because they'll put the current day at the top, and then I have to go back and find it.
Right.
Let me start over
awesome.
there.
That's awesome.
2 o'clock, Virginia Tech takes on Tulane. 6-6 today. 6-6, Virginia Tech takes on Tulane.
Then,
that's Annapolis. That's the Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. I think that is the Military Bowl. 48 and cloudy. 5:30. Your North Carolina Tar Heels will take on West Virginia, Bank of America.
Right. So
and it's saying rain, but I don't think it's supposed to be raining tonight. I think this is supposed to be out of here.
I think we're okay, yeah.
And they better be glad that they got turf at Bank of America after all the rain we had. That would be a sloppy mess.
I tell you, man, that you're right, because you remember when they used to bring new turf in and put it down?
Yeah.
And then it roll up while the players were playing.
Tear apart.
Yeah.
Yep. And that one's at 5:30, and you can catch that game on ESPN Plus. That Virginia Tech Tulane game at 2, the same thing. And then tonight you've got Louisville and Southern Cal. That one is at 8 o'clock on Fox. That's the DirecTV Holiday Bowl. Southern Cal, pretty much a disappointment from what everybody thought was going to be. They finished the season up at 7-5. Louisville surprised a lot of people as well. And then at 9 o'clock, the nightcap on ESPN, the NRG Stadium in Houston. It is Texas A&M at 7-5 taking on the Cowboys of Oklahoma State at 9-4. Oklahoma State is a 3-point favorite. Louisville's a 7-point favorite over Southern Cal. Carolina's a 6.5-point favorite over West Virginia. And Tulane is a 10.5-point favorite over Virginia Tech. When did you ever think you'd see Tulane as a double-digit favorite over Virginia Tech? Times have changed.
Well, what about USC? I mean, look at the head coaches they've had. Pete Carroll, all right?
Yeah, but that was a different world.
Steve Sarkisian.
Sarkisian might have been okay there had he not had his personal issues.
And we know that.
That's
but
correct.
Think about this.
I know.
About it. Lane Kiffin, all right? No, dude, he is at Ole Miss.
I understand.
Let me tell you something. They are the most underrated SEC team.
But here's
program.
the thing. But here's the thing with Lane Kiffin. It's taken him till now to grow up.
That's so.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Listen,
the Tennessee thing,
yeah.
he's made a lot of immature, disastrous career moves and finally got his head straight. Never questioned his coaching ability, but it was his maturity factor to run a program.
And we do it in our time. Okay, now, to your point, that's very valid.
Yeah.
But where he is now and how good Ole Miss is very likely to beat Penn State by 50 points. And now if Penn State comes back and they win, I'll say, hey, I was wrong with it. But they are very, very good. Their defense is so underrated with some of the playmakers they have on their front line and, a couple of the kids in the secondary. Like this is it's kind of like the Kansas Jayhawks in a way where, you really don't see them coming, but yet they show up and play. And they have 2 losses. I mean, it is very conceivable. And you really have to think about this and watch. But it's very conceivable that Ole Miss is better than Florida State. I'm talking about full force, full power.
I'm okay with that.
Now, Florida State may end up beating them. I'm just saying that is an argument. Okay, now let's go to the Florida State thing. Okay, if players don't matter, all right, and the team does this, the team does that. Now their second string quarterback that was supposed to be playing has now decided to hit the portal. Who was in line to start and take the team next year. because the quarterback that got hurt is, obviously moving on. Well, he's opted to go to the portal. Why would he do that?
I know.
To get paid.
Yeah.
To get paid.
I mean, some of the things.
He's free agent. This whole thing, Lanny, people are going to start losing interest.
Mm-hmm. All
right, because they can't pull for a team anymore. Now they're just pulling for players. Like when Quinn and I are talking on, Sunday after church or Sunday morning or whatever, and he says, "Dad, check out my fantasy team. These players better do really good." He doesn't pull for a team. Mm-hmm. He pulls for players. Now, that doesn't make anything wrong, but fan bases show up for the team and the program, not for the player, okay? And what's happening is we are now getting into we're acquiring these players. Oh, that's going to make my team so much better now. Or, oh, no, we've lost this. Look at the kid transferring from Florida to Georgia, ETN.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
This is insane. It is squandering opportunities that younger kids have or did have, all in the name of just, let's bid the highest player. If they turn it into that, then you're going to see more players that know they're not pro guys or potentially maybe but not sure. You're going to see more of them going and playing at Texas State. You're going to see more of them going and playing at Rice. Okay, JMU, Appalachian.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see more of the body, so therefore you're going to, this is our team. This is not good.
I have said, here's the deal. This is the thing that and I've said this, and I really, really feel this way about college basketball, even though I don't watch it. I think the NIL thing is going to help college basketball retain players because they can get played. Yeah. Now, in football, I'm not sure that happens, but I do think we are within 5 years, we will have a super huge divide between the top programs that can afford it and the programs that can't, and the ones that can't get back to business as usual with football like some of the smaller schools, the lower division schools did, because they have no choice, because they can't compete on that level, and they won't be able to obtain and retain talent if they can't come across with the money.
No, I agree. There'll be something that'll come out that is similar to Title IX. The way that Title IX is constructed, and for all the reasons, that it was done. It's been very good to help promote and enhance opportunities, okay, for a lot of, young people, especially young women, okay? That you've really been able to see the benefits of that the last, 10, 15 years, right? Even though it's taken it, many years to kind of get acceleration going, it's been a great thing. I could see it when I was in high school with the number of, boys and girls sports that were offered, this, that, and the other. I like that. The issue I have is if you're going to have things on an amateur level, then it has to remain at that amateur level. That's the problem I have with this. I have no problem people getting paid and things like that, but you can't call it collegiate.
Let me ask you a legal question in that area, okay? Let me ask you a legal question. Could it be, let's just say, an individual school or a conference, because the conference comes together and they decide on things. And I'll give you a little backstory on this and why I came up with this. One of the reasons that Appalachian really needed to move on from where they were, because Appalachian had so many more resources than the rest of the Southern Conference.
Sure.
When you've got private schools like Elon and Furman and those, that they were actually wanting to cut the scholarship limit down as a conference because the other schools couldn't afford it. Well, Appalachian couldn't do that because they had the resources to do it. So my question is this. Could a school or a conference say, okay, we have elected as a body, we are not going to participate in NIL?
Yeah.
Could there be a lawsuit that somebody could file against the school.
Yeah, because they're part of the NCAA.
So they would.
So they would have to disengage from that and become
Well,
their
but
own
now let me
entity.
ask you: would it not work like federal and state law? If the federal says you can do this, and the state says no, we're going to restrict that. That's the way that works. It's just you can't do more than federal law on a state level. You can only restrict it. For example, the whole cannabis thing, the whole marijuana issue. My understanding from research that I've done, states that have legalized it, if the feds wanted to, they could step in and stop it because it's still illegal federal.
Yes,
so what I'm
federal.
saying is
State law can't supersede federal
and that's
law.
what I'm saying.
Yes.
So if the NCAA says we allow NIL, but a school could say we're not going to allow NIL, we can't afford it. We're not going to. And if they don't pay anybody, then they can't make them pay.
So no, you're right. This is all great points, and especially at I want to do this publicly funded schools.
Right.
So we have people young and older that attend the universities. They take out loans.
Mm-hmm.
They pay their money.
Mm-hmm.
They hopefully pay it back. Whatever, but they are investing into that system for their education. Well, when that money goes into that system and is put into athletics for the overall enhancement of the experience for everyone that goes there, basically that's redistribution of money going to the top of the food chain, okay, i.e. sports, okay?
And that's where Title IX came in because that's where everybody got their share.
Well, I mean, think about it, and this is an argument that can be made, and people, of course, there's counter arguments to it. But if, a student that goes there and is getting an education pays their money into that public institution, okay, that it receives public funding from the state legislature, i.e. the state legislature doesn't have any money, taxpayers
right.
have their money taken from their checks and done that,
Correct.
right? So let's just get that out there.
Correct.
On the state level, okay, then the benefits for building these huge stadiums and providing all the opportunities with health care, food tables, all these things that are there, sports medicine, chiropractors, everything. So is that money that student that is going to school there, is it being contributed in the overall pot that goes to that allocation? If the answer is yes.
I don't think it is, and I'll tell you why. Let me tell you.
Okay.
And this,
okay.
Stay with me on this. My understanding is that student activity fee to athletics, that's what you're talking about. That's built into tuition.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about money that is paid into that university system by people that are going to school there.
Right, but it's through their tuition.
Right, for the benefit of their education. That money goes into a pot.
And they're called student activity fees.
That's separate. I'm talking about the money itself.
Okay.
All right. That money's put into a pot, and then as that pot grows, as they have more and more people go to school there because everybody needs a college education. Remember that? Remember that? No matter what you do in high school, everybody needs to go to college. So all of a sudden what happens? Enrollment's expansion, all these things, and all of a sudden what's built when that happens? All of these stadiums, all of these new sports medicine complexes, all of these things for the overall enhancement of the college experience, right? No.
See, I'm not sure how that I was under the impression that when you go down, you break out tuition, they'll show you what goes to student activity fees like for athletics.
Yeah, sure. You have that
in there. And that goes there.
You have that in there.
And I thought the other monies that came in for stadium enhancements, supporting the teams, all this kind of stuff, I thought that came from the alumni foundations and ticket sales and TV money and all that kind of stuff. I thought that the money that was earmarked inside of a tuition bill, that money was distributed to all athletes as a whole, not all students, but there's an activity fee. And I'll tell you, in North Carolina, and this is why community colleges are struggling with sports, North Carolina community college system, if I'm not mistaken, is only allowed to charge a $35 activity fee.
Sure, that's too much. Why should the student body that doesn't get the benefits of all of this, why should they pay into that? If we have all this money that can go to pay players to come in and play there, then why is that money not charged instead of Joe Schmo that's trying to make a life for themselves, not a living, a life for themselves by investing in themselves at to get that whatever degree, whatever it is they're looking for, opportunity, whatever, all right, connections, whatever that comes out of it. Why do they have to pay a portion of that? That's all I'm saying. It's getting to the point where like we're not looking at the whole body of work here. We're just talking, not you and I, I'm talking third person. We're just talking about, well, these players over here, these players do this, they get paid this. What about all the thousands of kids
that are just college students
that are college students that don't give a flip about that? Why do they have to pay for the benefit of being able to attend one of those? Are you kidding me? Really?
I'd have to see how they break it down.
I don't know why the NLI money is not used, a portion of that, to go back in to pay for all these things.
Well, it's kind of
that's all I'm saying.
It's different pocket.
That's all I'm saying. I have no problem with people being paid. The problem I have is how it's being done and who's not paying.
Well, I've told you.
And who is paying that's taken away from that has no benefit of it.
I've told you.
That's the problem I have.
That when NIL money started and that started coming in, if you get any NIL money as an individual player, you need the first thing that comes out of your NIL money is the cost of you attending that institution.
Completely agree.
I mean, because that's not fair.
Like the people that are benefiting from the platform did not build or do anything to enhance it until they actually get there and do it. I have no problem with people getting paid. That's not what I'm saying. It's the way in which things happen and the way that we go about it. We are scrumming and getting all these things from these other people that have no benefit of what's being, but yet, and again, all we heard about for 4 years, all right, was, well, things have to be this and they got to be that, and this isn't fair and that's not fair, and this and that. Well, okay. So now we're just paying people and these other attendees over here are paying all this money in.
No, I agree.
Right? And like this, it's gotten completely out of control. But that's what happens. When you don't have structure, focus, and discipline, chaos ensues. I don't care if it's in your athletic program, in your house, all right, in your job, in your business, or in your government, okay? That's what happens.
Yeah.
When you don't have order and focus and discipline, chaos ensues. When there's alternative motives, chaos ensues. All right, when there's hysteria about things.
Well, there needs to be
repeated narratives that you don't know what you're talking about. You're just repeating what you heard. Then things like this happen.
The other thing that needs to happen is you've brought some level of transparency to athletics, college athletics, but there still needs to be more so that you know what all the money and stuff's going from. The only problem you have there is from a private school standpoint. They don't have to reveal that information, I don't think.
I was talking. No, they don't, because they're private. They're not receiving public funds.
Right. But the students are still paying.
I have no problem with that.
Okay.
Okay. I'm talking about public institutions where you're getting taxpayer-funded money.
Okay.
Okay. Now, again, these students may attend these private schools, but they're getting government loans to do that. The government doesn't have money. It's taken from all of us.
Right.
In whatever means.
Right.
Okay. That's the other thing that we've got to get straight in all of this. And there is a place for government. Yeah, and there's going to be dysfunction. There's going to be good things that happens. But this really needs to be looked into. And it really does. I mean, as a former educator, lifelong, my dad, Mandy's side of the family, there are issues with this. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of people getting out of school with degrees, that they owe $100,000 in that they're never going to be able to pay back because they can't find a job in their degree area, so therefore they just don't work. There's a lot of we got to get this stuff fixed, and the focus is only on, hey, look at this over here while this hand down here is doing this. It's like anything else, diversionary tactics.
Right.
We got to get smarter.
Right.
With what we're doing and pay attention.
Let me catch a couple of these comments. Rich said, going back to the JMU game, if you have less rushing yards than the Air Force passing yards, this is going to be a long day. UNLV had 386 yards of offense against Kansas last night. Kansas had 216 yards worth of penalties for the game. Tyler said, Chiefs, most lost this season since Mahomes has been in the league, and most INTs since he's been in the league. They are imploding. Maybe the Swifties are bad luck. LOL. No. Kelsey got an ass chewing from Andy Reid for throwing his helmet on sideline, and he deserved it, and he got himself straightened out.
Mahomes needs a rear end chewing too, because he's done it several times. But I'm going to tell you this. I don't know if the debate is now over or sidelined or maybe whatever about Mahomes being one of the top quarterbacks ever, because the body eventually wears out. Now, it's very fair for someone or people to say, yeah, but his receivers, his offensive line, he can't do this, he can't do that. But it's a great shirt. But you can't pinpoint everything on everybody else, because he's not doing his job either. So to see what Brady, Flacco's a great example.
Yeah,
okay,
he off the couch.
He is. Favre, Montana, Bradshaw, Tarkenton, to see how they did what they did in their specific eras, but the way they went about it and the consistency ratio they had. Mm-hmm. I never heard anybody say anything about Fran Tarkenton not having good receivers. I never heard anybody saying anything about Terry Bradshaw.
You're looking for excuses.
No, that's what I'm saying. And my point is when we get off on these things, when these young players come in talking about, he's going to be one of the greatest of all time, this, that, and no, you've got to have a track record, not just coming in and with a sprint. You've got to have a marathon record of what's going on, okay? So sorry.
The other thing that the other comment that we had was Richie said, I'm trying to figure out how many rushing yards Carolina will give up in that game and how many times Country Roads will be blaring at Bank of America Stadium against West Virginia.
Oh, God.
Let's see.
Well,
Tyler said Ole Miss is going to be dangerous next year. They've done well in the portal. I do have a comment about the portal later. Florida State and Ole Miss are both healthy. That'll be a fun game to watch. Lincoln said, you're correct. If the number of scholarships goes down, what's going to happen to the non-revenue sports?
Gone.
And Richie said, what are you talking about is why the schools in the ACC are looking to leave. The more money they get from the media rights, like the SEC and the Big Ten are getting, they can use that money to fund facility upgrades, coaching salaries, and then use all of the alumni to help with NIL, because the donors are having to choose what to give to. And I knew that was going to be a problem, because now the donors have taken away some of the money that was going for facility stuff, and they're having to put it in players, which
that's exactly is my point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like if Carolina or State build a brand new stadium or upgrade their stadium, to sit there and tell someone that public funds is not used for that, or a combination of funds being used for tuition from people that go to school there that have no – go ahead.
Do you want me to get you on professional sports doing the same thing?
I'm okay with that.
Professional sports
absolutely,
taking public money.
Because you're reinvesting into your community, all right? And the people vote, all right? They have a vote for the people they put in charge that approve these things. Mm-hmm. I am 100% okay with that. These young people have nothing that represents them in where they think their money's going.
Okay.
That's the problem. I have no problem with public funds if they are used for professional sports, because we as voters have the opportunity, or at least we used to. Who knows what's going on now, because you can count things 10 days later. But, we have the opportunity to go to the polls and put people in that have our interest, right?
Supposedly.
No, but that's what we're supposed to do,
in theory.
Is vet those.
Yes.
Instead of listening to what they say, we watch what they do. Okay?
And then hold them accountable.
Yeah. All right. So, this whole thing about public, funds being used for, if it enhances the community and opportunities, and there's benefit to basically the city, because that's where it happens, and to the area, and even to all the way to the state, then that's not a bad thing. Okay. It's overuse of those funds, redirect them in other places where they're not intended to go behind the scenes, and things in politics that go on that are not, that are not good. It's like here in Maiden, bringing like Apple, okay, and, Microsoft, and other, let's just say other data centers that may be interested down the road in coming. There's nothing wrong with giving them incentives from a tax standpoint to come in, because they're not drawing off the local resources hardly at all for the amount of taxes they're paying, and even with the benefit that is given with the reduction.
Right.
Okay, they're not drawing off of it. They're only enhancing the community. That makes sense.
When you talk about betterment of the community, like with stadiums and stuff, I was just sitting here thinking, a couple of days ago when we were on, we talked about the turf versus grass issue.
Yep.
And we were talking about Minneapolis, about the Vikings.
Yep.
And they said the reason they couldn't use real turf is because that stadium would host 200 events a year.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Those 200 events with the sales tax on tickets, the concessions, all the things that went into that, that does benefit the community as a whole.
Everyone.
Yeah. It's the ones that don't, when the Panthers originally with the stadium, and I'm not going soccer on you here, but the Panthers very, very seldom allowed that stadium to be used for any other activities.
Yeah, maybe a concert or two here.
They would maybe have, counting the Panther games, less than 20 activities a year in it. So I understand on game day it was a big boost to the economy and to the community, but not as a whole, because here you've got this thing that there was a ton of taxpayer money went into it.
Correct.
And goes into it still for renovations and those kind of things, that thing needs to be used more than what it was using.
And again,
because to benefit 100%. Everybody that did participate in having the money in. There's where that, it's all, and that's where you have to look inside of the workings of what's going on. Is it being used or not?
Yes.
Milton said, it seems like the student is buying the degree. Tyler said the officials baby Mahomes. And Milton said Matt Nagy's not a good offensive coordinator. Now, let me switch gears.
Holy cow.
2 quick points before we get out of here.
Fantastic.
I haven't seen Andrew this morning online, okay? This will bring him out if he's listening, okay? Dabo read an article. I'm not as schooled as Andrew is, but Dabo opted to bring in some 3-star high school linemen versus going to the portal and getting linemen. Somehow I don't think that's going to work out well. Not a lot of ACC competition are going to be, quote-unquote, 3-star. I can't imagine a 3-star high school kid is going to outperform a kid in the portal.
Well, I'll tell you this about Sweeney. He knew Travis Etienne was a 3-star recruit, and he saw something in him.
I agree.
Okay? So with what he's looking for in the players that he recruits, there may be something that he sees in those supposedly. And let me tell you something. I don't get into the rankings anymore because
it's like buttholes. Everybody's got one there all different.
I've seen kids that are ranked 4 and 5 stars that are a 0-star person.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But the other side now, the difference I have with that, though, here's the difference to me. You take a skill player like a Travis Etienne, like a quarterback, like a certain receiver that you see something in, you have the ability as a coach, much like with what we've seen Shanahan do in San Francisco. He sees something in a player, and then he designs the environment around the player to accentuate what he saw. Okay?
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, you can do that.
Belichick with his players.
You can do that with skill players. Yeah. It's hard to do that with the fat boys because you can't.
I know what you're saying.
You understand what I'm saying?
You have much more experience in that because you were
but you know what I'm saying?
And I get that. Laney, I think that in the cases of we have seen huge mistakes by ACC schools in not taking a player because they're a half inch too short for their metrics.
Right.
We have seen detrimental effects. I can only imagine a Matt Eisenhower or John Holt, both that played at App, that both I coached, playing at Wake Forest, NC State, Carolina,
Matt could have played at Clemson. They recruited him.
John could have too. Just because of a metric that's off about that much.
One final question.
Seeing a lot of centers in major college football that are around 6 foot 6'1", close to 300 pounds. Kelsey comes to mind. Did you see his picture when he's in college? Come on, dude. Come on.
I know.
Come on.
Jeff Bostic is another one. He was well undersized. I played with him.
Great example.
Yeah.
Yes. And you played with him?
I played with him.
Yes, that is a great example.
He was well undersized.
Yes.
And what, 11, 12 years with Washington, a couple Super Bowls.
Killed it.
One final comment, and I've seen the rumor mill has started about Saban. Ask you your opinion.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that I have seen is that this will be the final year for Nick Saban is possibly retiring if he wins the national championship because of what he's accomplished and the way athletics are going, like a Roy Williams, like a Mike Krzyzewski, the old school coaches that don't want to deal with the way that athletics is handled now on the college level. I could see it. I could see it happening because of what he's accomplished, especially if he comes from beating Georgia in the championship to get into the Final Four, and then if he can go on and win both games and win the national championship and the way things have changed, I can see where he may look at it because it's becoming harder and harder. He struggles to keep coordinators because he does such a good job with them. They move on to other things, and he's going to even start to experience some of the things with the portal, and he's already had a little bit of trouble with the NIL because he's got onto his alumni that needed more money. I don't think somebody like a Saban that looks at coaching and what he does so differently than what college football coaching is today.
I don't know, Lenny. That's a good point. I don't know, though. I think he's adapted himself all of these years, and that's why he stayed on top.
I agree.
I look at him as an innovator and a disruptor more than I do someone that took the route of Krzyzewski or Williams that said, "Look, I've been doing this 35, 40 years. I'm tired. I'm done. I don't have the energy." I don't see Saban in that regard. That's why I think he's so different than so many others that were in that. He has a chance to influence. Like he is, I say solely. He's pretty much responsible for the defense being able to substitute. The offense would wait till the last minute, run a bunch of people, and then you try to defend them. He's like, guys, you can't do that. He's like, we have to set a defense up against our players. We got to know who's coming in. You got to give us time to get our players out there to defend what they're doing. He led that charge, and it's not because he's Nick Saban that he got it done. These fallacies and terms are used for people that are successful because they have influence. The reason they have influence is because all these years they have collaborated and talked with people and shown that they have the best interest of the entire program, whatever that is, whatever they're participating in, to make it better and stronger. That's why I don't think the thing with the coordinators is a big issue with him, because his goal is to bring the best in and help them get promoted, because that's what great coaches do. They bring people in to help them grow and develop or get reestablished like a Sark so they can go and become successful because they learned about the things, Kiffin, that maybe they didn't do so well before. There is a reason that resources are flocked to a person like that, and it's not the coach, it is the person. I don't see – now, Lane, he very well could just say I've had enough, and that's fine. He deserves it. I have no problem with it. But I do not see him letting it go at this because of the influence that he's had and the way he's done what he's done, along with many other coaches, but especially him, especially Mac Brown. Sweeney falls in that. Yeah, Harbaugh. I don't see that happening until he's had a chance to affect positive change on changes they've made that have negatively impacted so many other people. Okay, so, there's a balance, and they'll be able to find it at some point. Because right now things are not balanced. I don't see him just quitting and saying, I'm just going to let it go, and whatever they want to do, they can do. I don't think the championship thing is all that satisfies him in his quest for what he's trying to do with his purpose on this earth. A lot of people base it off, well, I've won this, I'm done. That's okay, but I don't see him doing that. I just don't see it.
We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Saban and Mac Brown are the same age, just a few months apart. I guess we'll have to see what happens there. Have a great day, everybody. We'll be back again in the morning. We may have a special guest in the morning. I don't know. We'll just have to kind of wait and see on that. Thank you, sir. You here tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There you go. There you got it right there. Reason enough to tune in. See you.